Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you for joining this session. I'm delighted to be here on behalf of the Migration Summit 2022, organized by the MIT Refugee Action Hub, NAMAL, Karam Foundation, Paper Airplanes, and MIT JWell. The summit is a month-long event exploring the theme of education and workforce development in displacement. We're seeking to build bridges between diverse refugee and
Bueno, cuando quieras venir, Carlos, empezaron.
And important stakeholders to collaboratively resolve key challenges and identify opportunities with and for refugee and migrant communities. I'd like to pass the mic now to my collaborator, Jospin, who will introduce this session.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jospin Amis, all the way from Malawi. I'm co-founder of Adai Cycle, and I'm also in IT at MyBucks Banking Corporation. And I'm also a MIT React alumni. Today's session is all about a project presentation and discussion, Fishing in the Desert, the story of Vijana Twaweza. Vijana Twaweza, it means like youth we can in English, that's Swahili word. So today we have the honor to have Dr. Paul Okefe, who was a winner of 2021 World Food Program Next Generation Innovator Award. And Vijana Twaweza Youth Club is it's based in Kakuma refugee camp. It's a refugee-led development project which raises fish, grows vegetables, and makes soap and teach children in the camp sustainable development and also permaculture practice. Speaking today, we have two founders of Vijana Twaweza, DMRC Luundo and Gloria Luundo, are joining with their support and advisor, Dr. Paul Okefe from University College Dublin, who will be narrating the trajectory of the club and discuss for the role transforming higher education as play in the project success. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul.
Okay, rookie mistake there. Hello, everyone. My name is Paul. I am delighted to be here today with my great friend DMRC and Glory to talk about their project, Vijana Twaweza. This project has been life-changing for me to be able to work with the guys on it, to be able to advise them, to help them out when I can on putting together this amazing project, which has already made such an amazing change in Kakuma in terms of providing an outlet for people to work together, to improve nutrition, to combat the effects of climate change, and just to really take control of their lives within Kakuma. And as Jospin said, they won last year's World Food Program's Next Generation Innovators Award. So they're really to be applauded. In the next, say, hour, we'll give a quick we try to keep it short, our presentation, where we'll talk about the project, present some of the ideas behind it, tell you a little bit about how the project was formed and where it's going. And we'll try to have as much time as possible at the end for you to ask us questions, to maybe give us some ideas as well on how we can go forward with the project. So a little bit about where the project comes from. So the project is based in Kakuma refugee camp, so in northwestern Kenya. For any of you that don't know it, it's one of the biggest refugee camps in the world. There's about 200,000 people from, I think, about 22 to 24 different countries or different ethnic backgrounds. The numbers change quite frequently with people coming in and out of the camp. Now, the photo I have here, it looks very ordered, very structured. The reality on the ground is quite different. It's not as uniform, say, in the way houses are arranged, and the roads are very dusty, and it's a very chaotic and difficult place to live in from my estimation, but the guys will tell you a lot more about that because they're the ones who live there. I'm an infrequent visitor who has been going back and forth for the last, say, 4 or 5 years to the camp. So I know it maybe from like a visitor's perspective. So life in Kakuma, I would say.
Excuse me, can I interrupt you? We're also seeing notes. Can you share like full screen?
Okay. Yeah. So go. Is that okay?
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay. So yes, life in Kakuma. Let's go back a little bit here and just with that. So Kakuma is really, I suppose, a place of contrasts. So for the international staff that go in to do research like myself, or to set up programs or maybe provide services, there's one life, and then for people living on the ground, it's completely different. So as an international worker, you arrive on a light aircraft into this airfield, and then you get shuttled into the UNHCR compound where you're processed, and then you're carried around the camp, say, in these armored cars. So you're kept very safe, and it's a completely different experience from the people on the ground. I put in the picture of the barbed wire to kind of convey the idea that it's a contained camp. So it's almost like it's an open air prison. It's difficult for people to leave, and sometimes difficult for people to come into as well. But within the camp itself, life goes on. People have to make the most of a really, a difficult situation. So you see a lot of kind of informal businesses setting up around the camp. There's market areas, there's schools. So I was involved in the University of Geneva's higher education in refugee context program, where we had blended learning programs in the class. So accredited courses from the University of Geneva. And that's kind of my introduction to the camp and to the people living in the camp. You can see here now some photos of the kind of conditions that people live in. So it's a very dry desert area. It's sand for most parts. Then when the rains come, the floods start, and all the diseases that come with extreme flooding. The roads get washed away. Here are our friends Innocent and Blaze in the photograph, and they're showing you just how problematic the floods can be. Just to walk around the camp. The camp is surrounded then by, say, the Turkana people who live in that area of Kenya. They tend to be goat herders. The goats themselves, you see them in and around the camp, and they eat a lot of the vegetation. Obviously, they provide meats and other kind of agricultural products as well. So it's very much, it's a difficult place to live, but life goes on. People make the most of the situation and just try to get on with life as best as they can and hope for the future. And that's kind of how I got in touch with Dieu Merci and Glory, the founders and directors, let's say, of Vijana Twaweza. So they had been studying some of the courses that I had been involved in managing and setting up in Kakuma. So particularly the human rights course, which is led by my colleague, Jamila Karan. And this is where I first met Dieu Merci and Glory as well. And they also had taken other courses. So we had a course in One Health, basic medical training. My role, I guess, was the more pedagogical management of these courses. So I tried to embed a lot of transformative pedagogical principles, which I hope I can take credit for that being maybe influential on how Vijana Twaweza is organized as well. So the courses were really, really intensive courses that were exactly the same content as the students in Geneva had been taking. So you had some of the poorest people in the world with the worst pedagogical resources available to them, like not even internet connections some days, studying on their phones, really, really difficult, not a proper classroom, but at the same time, they were studying the same course for the same credits, for the same qualification as somebody in Geneva from the richest or one of the richest countries in the world, with best resources at their hands. But the students in Kakuma really just impressed me so much that they were not able to just keep up with the students in Geneva, but in some cases to really surpass them. And I think that that's really when I first got maybe more emotionally invested in people's lives. Like normally, yes, you do get to know your students, but because I was having so much interaction with the guys online and through WhatsApp, we would have conversations. And when I'd go to the camp, they made me so welcome. And it was just, you know, we became fast friends, let's say. So I got really interested in what they were planning to do. And I guess I hope that they felt that they could come to me with ideas, and we began working together on various projects. So that's how the idea for Vijana Twaweza, I guess, was started in our, like, from an educational point of view. Maybe do Merci, if you want, if you're there, if the connection is good enough, you would like to maybe tell the audience a little bit how you came up with the idea, first of all, and how you connected what you had been learning in class with your idea to build Vijana Twaweza. Know if the connection is good enough. If you're there, maybe Glory, can you hear us?
Glory, can you say something? Okay. Can you
Hi.
hear me, please?
There's Jean Merci.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, the volume's a bit low, so maybe if you could speak up a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah. What? Now it's okay. It's okay now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, it's great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you for Paul for the introduction. So really, I'm James Londo, and I did some courses in Zone, online courses. As Paul said, the course of human rights, global health. And maybe to start, I will start to explain how I came with this idea of fish farming in Kakuma. So when I was doing the course of global health for human animal ecosystem interface, we had friends from different places, some from Geneva, others from China, and all of us were put in one WhatsApp group. We were trying to discuss about different ideas. And during the course, we were trying to discuss about some relevant topics like food insecurity, about entities, neglected tropical diseases, how they affect country living in places like the place like in Africa here. And you know, the majority of refugees here are just arriving with a small amount of food which they get from the World Food Program. So people need food in Kakuma refugee camps. People need fish. WC themselves, they are not able for the moment to provide sufficient food to the refugees, but at least they are trying to do something at least to alleviate hunger in the camp. So from there, I realized that there is need of food in the camp, especially fish which people consume in the camp came away from Kakuma. We get them from sometimes from Lodwa. It's very, very, very far from the place where we are. So with the group, I decided to see how we can start this small project for fish farming in Kakuma. And at the beginning, we just bring them in a small basin. So it was a bit hard at the beginning, but together with our friends, we at least now able to make the project progress well in Kakuma. This is our first big fish pond that we have for the moment. It's 24 meters by 7. I hope, yeah, this is what I can say, just like to brief a bit how I came with this idea. So I saw just saying people are taking challenges to get food, then I just come with a solution which can provide food to them, especially cricket farming, fish farming. Yeah, so this is what we are doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So as you can see then from the photos, the program or the project has been involved in different things. So they, you know, from starting up a fish tank, which I think you can see the latest version, or you could see the latest version in G Mercy's background of the fish pond, where they're raising many more fish. But at the start, this photograph I have here, I think it captures very well how unusual a fish pond in a desert is. So it's 40 degrees Celsius heat there. There's very little water around. There's very little growth. There are no fish, or there were none that I was aware of, until Do Mercy set up this pond and started raising fish, and became a kind of a curiosity for the people in the camp, something for the kids to go to see. And I think that really, really helped to build a community vibe around Vijana Twaweza, the youth club, and bring people into it. People wanted to see what this amazing fish pond is and what you can actually do in the circumstances that they're in. You see the fish here, the fish that they first harvested, and they decided to grow some vegetables. So this morera, it's kind of like a spinach, so very high in nutritional value. And then making soap as well. So particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, or at the start of it, which is the next slide here, you can see. Oops, I'm going a bit far. So that was, so the pandemic was something that really, I think, caught us all off guard, let's say, around the world. But Jamila, my colleague, and myself in Geneva, we had become very close to our students, and we're in constant contact with them. It was maybe at a difficult time for everyone. But our students were coming to us telling us that they were getting no information from the authorities on how to protect themselves from the pandemic, not getting much advice. Nobody really knew what was going on. So what we did was we connected them with our medical students in Geneva who, they had worked on various courses in the past. They'd become good friends as well. And they prepared these information videos that they could share easily around on their phones via WhatsApp around the camp to inform people about coronavirus, like to dispel some of the myths that were going around at the time, to tell people what they can do to keep themselves safe, improving hand washing, social distancing, and so on. So some of our students prepared these in French and English, and then Vijana Twaweza prepared it in Kiswahili, so the main language that's used in the camp. So this really, for me, this was the first point where I thought, wow, these guys are revolutionary. They are taking charge. They're going to protect their own people. And they're bringing people across the world to work together on something really, really tangible. This is quite very much, I suppose, at the start of the pandemic. So it really, it blew me away. It showed me what these guys are able to do. So I was just, I'm really, really full of pride to have worked with them on this little project. And I think it set them up for, a much more impactful community-led project. Now we have a little video here. We have the video, but I won't show it because the sound quality is quite low. But just to say that they had subtitles on the video for people maybe who are hard of hearing. So they really covered all bases. Different languages, different ways of communicating. It was amazing and so impactful around the camp, and kept a lot of people really safe and reassured a lot of people. So I think a major credit goes out to them for that. When there was very little information coming from outside of the camp, or coming from the authorities in the camp as well, who maybe didn't know what to do in quite a difficult situation for everyone. So just a little bit more now about the project. Maybe Glory, if you can speak a little bit about the permaculture principles that you guys decided to embed in the project. So very much taking a sustainable development approach. I think you're really an expert on this, so it'd be great if you could share with us your ideas on this.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm Glory Lukambo, and I'm as well a co-founder of Vijana Twaweza Club, and I'm happy to see Lundo and the team on that side. So as soon as we started, we started with the idea of solving problems that our people faced in the community. So we were working to solve the problems that people were facing. And as we developed our ideas, first of all, before probably I talk about permaculture, is that Vijana Twaweza at the beginning in 2018, 2019 was a ground where we had a good number of refugee youths from South Sudan, Congo, Burundi, where everyone could come and share knowledge, share ideas, ask questions, challenge people for us to find solutions that we were facing. So at the time we started rearing fish, we realized that we were actually using a lot of water, and we had to change the water from the fish pond now and then. Yet Kakuma Refugee Camp is a very dry place, as you described it at the beginning. We don't have enough water here. Water is a very scarce resource. So we found out that, yes, we are trying to do something good. We are trying to provide food for people, but at the same time, we have to find a way to use the few resources that we have very efficiently. So that's where we started doing our own research on the internet, and that's where we came up with the idea of connecting what we called a cycle, a water efficiency cycle. We connected our fish pond to the farms, the garden. Then we connected the garden to the insect farming, which has been mainly cricket farming. So we would use the wastewater from the fish ponds to water the crops in the garden and the farm. Then we would use the crop to feed the crickets. And then we would use crickets to feed the fish, because crickets is very, it has a lot of proteins that fish need. And eventually, as we do this in this circle, you might have guessed it. So we produce fish, we produce crickets, we produce crops. All of these three elements can as well be consumed by people in the camp. So as we continue doing our researches on how we could improve our model, we came to learn about the permaculture idea, which is an ideology that teach people to find efficient ways of using resources, to find ways of implementing projects or living in a much more sustainable way. So we had a couple of principles that we call permaculture principles. I won't go that far into explaining all these principles, but they are principles that are rounded on sustainability and the sustainability of the ecosystem and the ecology and the lives of the people around. So it's about how you place elements, how you design your homestead, where you live, where you work, how you place things in order for things to be easy for you and in order for everything you do to be beneficial for people around, for the community you're living in, and for the planet we are living in. So it's kind of a very sustainable way. And it's been very, very, very helpful to Vijana Twaweza, because since we learned about permaculture, I think everything was just like a boom. That's where all these ideas started actually coming up. So we were not, we learned not to focus necessarily on fish farming and food production. That's where we got an idea of also working a little bit into providing soap during the coronavirus pandemic. We learned about providing mosquito nets still during the pandemic when we had a malaria outbreak in the camp. We learned about cleaning our streets when of course we had that malaria pandemic, because we found out that cleaning streets would make the environment much cleaner, and probably mosquito less would propagate less in that period. We learned about taking care of our children by providing emotional support, providing sports for change. We provided a few sport programs in the past where children had to play football, children had to attend certain sessions where they were playing and learning things. And we actually had a lot of community projects, a lot of things that would help our community advance, but all these still rounded on our fish pond, the fish pond being the only place where we all can come and we all can contribute and we all can exchange. Yeah, so very briefly, I think that has been a very great contribution of permaculture in Vijana Twaweza.
Yes, and just when you think you guys couldn't become any better leaders, you're out teaching little kids in the camp how to make their own projects, how to lead their own way forward. Mercy, would you be able to tell us a little bit about the classes that you were teaching in the camp around the primary schools?
Sorry, Paul.
I'm just wondering, would you be able to tell us a little bit about the classes that you were teaching, or the children that you were teaching around the camp on these permaculture principles, and also on how to maybe make their own fish ponds? And like, this is real development in my view. So I'd love if you could share that with us, please.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. We are trying really to solve the issue of food for the moment. And we can't solve this problem of food if we just grow our own garden and distribute it in the community. But the idea also was to see how we can train other people in the camp and give them the skills that what we have here, so that they can be also able to grow their own food. They can also be able to be the solution on the problem. So from there, we decided to bring the course of sustainable agriculture in primary school and mathematics camp. Fuji Primary School, Gambela Primary School, and also Primary School. The training was about 2 months, and at the end of the training, all those participants received seed for them to plant at school and also back to their home. And also we just give them the idea on how to raise cricket, how to raise fish. We're just trying to share with them the idea that we have and which we think can be good for them to grow their own food. So really the idea is to give them the capacity, those children, and to give them the capacity so that they can bring to their home, they can teach their family members, the ability for them to grow their own food and not only depend on what they get from the World Food Program. So it was a very good moment. Ourselves as teachers, we were motivated from the experience that we get from students. They were also the same, vice versa. So we benefited from them, they benefited from us. And until now, we are just going to make some rounds to the garden. When we see they don't have seed, we provide them seed, and the good outcome or the good impact that we made is that some children were able even to sell out their crops, and some birds, bought some books, others bought from. So for us, it was very, very, we are proud of what we did in the past during those trainings. So at least we hope we taught 9 students, by school was 5 students per school. So generally 9 people, and we hope at least for 9, even all of them will not be able to make in practice what we taught them, but at least 2 or 3 they do something very good in the community. Then also we are happy. So I think until now the children need our support. They need our support, but also it's a bit challenging due to the limit of funds. You know, we need to harvest fish, and after harvesting fish, we need again to plan, okay, this amount, we'll use it to train others. So those are some of the challenges that we are facing, but the idea is really to continue, not only to school, but also to community around us. Like we are now planning to involve even some women in the community based on the funds that we have after harvesting our fish at the point.
Wonderful. So you can see here in the photographs, like just the accolades that they've been getting. So winning this award, winning the Permaculture Magazine Award as well, amazing, really, really huge achievements. But you can see what they've done with this. They've built this bigger fish pond, which, do mercy, if you could maybe show people, because you're standing in front of the fish pond now, it'd be maybe wonderful if the camera can, if you can show people. I don't know if it's possible. Can people see in real life what the fish pond looks like?
Yeah, this is behind us. Here's the fish pond that we have for the moment, and we have tilapia. It's growing. We're trying to make some gardens.
Wow.
We're trying to make some gardens close to the fish pond, as Glory said. So it is easier for us watering these plants, and we can get the same plants to feed the fish. We can get these plants to feed the crickets. I hope I was trying to explain it a little bit. So this is the pond that we have, and we have more space here. We are planning maybe when we are harvesting, we will really keep some good part of money and see how we can expand this project, because you can't found a project of fish with only one fish pond. As it's the beginning of the activity, was we just feel that we are well, and we hope it will be very smart, because we started in a basin. A small basin. Now, if we have at least this fish pond, we hope maybe in the future we'll be able to make it big. So we hope that with the production that we are going to produce, even though we are helping really the community, but also we buy seed already from the camp. So sometimes we get some little money for us to continue with other activities. So we hope very soon we will have more than one fish pond. This is our hope.
So yes, you can see big plans for the future. They have done such an amazing job. I mean, when I saw the first fish pond, I was extremely impressed. But when I compare this to that, I mean, it's just amazing to see. and the power of the internet that we can see it here from all different parts of the world, which is pretty cool too. Maybe Glory, if you want to tell us a little bit then about the plans, your big plans, because I think you have major plans for the future, right? And we all need to support you. So if you want to share a little bit, and then we can maybe get to Q&A.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul, for that. You know, in Kakuma refugee camp, we are about 260,000 people living here right now. And in Kalobe, it's a very bigger number. And if you have to count the people surrounding us, the host community members, people, it goes to roughly 500,000 people living in this area with very few resources and with not enough food, definitely. So we would like, if we may in the future construct more fish ponds to be able to produce more fish in Kakuma refugee camp, and to improve the water efficiency system. We want to get away from the system that we are currently using, which is just gardening. We want to be gardening using an aquaponics system, and we have co-created this with students from the Danish Technical University of Denmark, the DTU Skylab. We met them after winning the WSP Next Gen Innovators program. So we entered into discussions with the students at Denmark, and we co-created this idea that we could actually link the fish pond to the aquaponics system rather than the gardens that we are currently having. And we found that would be much more efficient. So it's the system that we want to implement in the near future. And we also entered into a partnership with Jesuit Refugee Services, which is an NGO here in the camp that have enough space, because as refugees, we don't have that much access to space. But with this organization now, we have access to space. So we want to build fish ponds in their space. They have roughly 7 to 8 centers in Kakuma refugee camp, bigger centers where we can have ponds similar to the one we have currently. We can have roughly 3 ponds or 2 ponds in each center. So we actually hoping to construct such ponds. So very briefly, we are hoping to increase fish production by building more ponds. And we are planning to improve water efficiency by building the aquaponics system everywhere we have a fish pond. And we also want to expand more on the insect farming. Currently, we are having cricket farming, which has been very nutritious for the fish and even for the people. But it's a little murky because the community around is not yet consuming insects that much, but it's a new thing we are introducing. So we are changing culture. I understand it doesn't have to be easy. But we are also planning to increase, to change a little bit the insect farming we are doing. Rather than doing crickets alone, we want to start doing the rearing the black soldier flies. We want to start rearing the termites. We want to start producing mushrooms. It's something we are as well planning to do. We are still in the research phase, learning a little bit about this on YouTube, on Google, and trying to understand more of how we can implement all this. Yeah, so very briefly, those are the few plans that we're having for the future. And apart from producing fish, we are even having 2 more things that we want to do, which is first taking the sustainable agriculture course to all the schools in Kakuma refugee camp, because as Lundo said, we were implementing this project in 3 schools only. So we are planning to expand it to many other schools. And along with that, we also want to continue with the social emotion support that we provided to children, because we have many children here. Kakuma refugee camp is mostly lived by children and youth, and most of them are not doing great in school. Most of them are having challenges, and we want to support them emotionally. So we want to come up with projects geared into sport for change, sport for social cohesion, and sport for emotional support. So those are the few things that we are planning to start doing in the coming few months.
And finally, don't forget that you're also contributing so much to the academic study of development and research on refugee-led initiatives. So G Mercy and I, we've written an article together. We have some things coming out in the future. The 3 of us, we made this YouTube kind of short little video clip of us talking about the role of education in refugee-led development. So we have big plans for the future in academia, I think, and it's a humbling and wonderful opportunity for me to work with you guys. So I've just put here a few further reading. If anybody's interested in finding out more, they can contact us. Here's my email address, and I'll be really happy to talk more about it. But maybe because I think we went a little bit over time, if there are any questions, we'd love to hear from you guys and maybe hear your suggestions and answer any questions that you have as well. Maybe there are none. Maybe we explained everything perfectly. No? Jospin, do you have anything for us to talk about now?
I think on my side, I'm speechless. I don't know what to to add on this.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah, maybe JMXC and Gloria can come also in Malawi, because we also face the same challenge in here in terms of food. Anyway, if there is
I would appreciate that very much. And I have some connections with people in Zaleka camp in Malawi. We have been talking. And I don't know yet how it will be, because for refugees to displace, to move around, it's a little bit challenging because the policies and all that. But we would really be happy to be there. And via Zoom, we are there. So we're very happy. Thank you.
Does the invite extend to me, Jospin? I'd love to come too. I've never been. So.
You're almost welcome.
Okay,
we have Tom who has a question. Maybe you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Okay. My question goes really to Lukambo, the founders of the project, and I really wanted to know, how would you encourage somebody such kind of a project, or if you're having your own project and you wanted to really push to achieve your goals or your objective, what do you really need to do in an area like here in Kakuma, where how would you really encourage that kind of a person?
Oh, okay. How would I encourage? Well, I would encourage you guys anyone to put their ideas forward. And I think that's the biggest step, is getting people to articulate their ideas. Like in my experience, working with refugees and people in vulnerable situations, let's say for the last decade or so, people have amazing ideas. People have solutions. They just need to be listened to, and they just need to speak up. They need to be heard. And I think we can see from Vijana Twaweza, like, what is possible. I mean, this is, for me, it's the most amazing development project, not only to have heard of, but to have had the honor to be associated with. I mean, it's amazing what they have achieved, and it's all their credit. And I really believe that we in, say, academia, in the development community, we need to start listening to people a lot more, and we need to start doing what they want us to do, not what we think is going to work. Because often, let's be honest, we are completely wrong, and we don't listen to refugees. We don't listen to people in developing contexts. And I'm rambling on now, so maybe I'll shut up a little bit, and maybe guys, you could tell us what we need to do.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I'd like also to I'm sorry, Londo, I'd like just to very briefly talk about what Tom just asked. I think it's the challenge we are having here is that many people might have ideas, but they don't take initiative. They don't start the project. They wait for some people to start outside there, or they wait for some people outside to come and help. But what I think is, and that's what we've been doing at Vijana Twaweza all this time, is that when we find out that this is a solution to a problem we are facing, we don't have to take too much time to solve that problem. So we always try to solve problems. And it's not, it didn't, you know, Vijana Twaweza didn't start like someone's left and then decided to start something. It started with people seeing a problem and then trying to address that problem. I think that's the best approach, which is trying to see problems that concerns us, problems that affect us and our neighbors, and then trying to solve those problems. I think that's very important. Something else that's important, it's learning, you know, learning in the progress. You learn as you do things, and you try to improve what you have done yesterday, and every day that goes, you have an opportunity to improve. I think that's as well something important, because we have many people here with knowledge, but we don't know how to turn that knowledge into skills. And you know, the only way you can turn knowledge into skill is getting what you know into practice, doing it. Yeah, so I think that's very important for people around you. And that's what we've been trying all the time to do. When we learn about something, we think that this is important, it's going to help us, then we try to do it. And as we try to do it, definitely we talk to people around, we let people understand how we feel, what we know, what we see, and we speak up, and yeah, and that's what I can say. That's been very important to us. And I think anyone trying to do the same, we are more likely to do great things. Yeah.
Okay, the next question is, we have Lauren, and then after Lauren, there is Lana.
Hi, thank you. Paul and guys, you guys have been inspirational. Thank you so much. Paul, what you just said about we need to listen to refugees is kind of the aim of this conference. So thank you for saying that. And I want to come to Kenya and I want to visit you in Kakuma. So I will be there, inshallah, soon. So my question is sort of around the education. How are you sort of passing this knowledge on to the children, and how are you including them in the work that you're doing?
So I'll take that question. What I said here is that, you know, our fish pond, it's an area where we all meet as Vijana Twaweza youths and children, obviously. We meet, we discuss, we talk, we share ideas, we challenge ourselves, we ask questions. And when we talk in our conversation, definitely we have, oh, I think this is a good idea, we can try to implement that. Oh, I think that one's not a good idea. Probably if we do it this way, it will be much better. And it's I think that's very amazing. So when we thought about taking our course to the primary school, it's first we know the challenges that are there. Then we also faced children who wanted to learn more about what you're doing. So we thought about teaching them in schools. And as we went to the school, we co-created the learning journey with the students, because we would always have time to listen to students, to our children who we were teaching to, and then we would ask them questions, why do you think that way? Why do you do things this way? What do you have at home? Why do you have a single item? How do you use it? How important do you think it is to? So we always ask questions to children, and they give us insights, they give us information, they give us knowledge, and we build on that knowledge to provide more that they need to acquire and to be great. So I think that's very important. And probably for teachers who are here today, I would say, you know, many teachers don't really have that time to assess the ground, assess the knowledge that the students already have. Many teachers don't take time to ask students what students want to learn. I think here, having a syllabus, it's okay, having a curriculum, it's okay, but at some point we have to have that room where the students show interest. The students tell us that this is what I want to know, because I think if I know this, it will help me in this way. And that's what we have been trying to do with our children here. So currently we have children who manage to do gardens. We have children who are as well thinking about probably building a fish pond. We have children, just yesterday, last Saturday, I posted a post on LinkedIn of a child who came to us to introduce to us a Bluetooth device that they created with waste plastic jerry cans. And that was a very big thing to me, because they inspired themselves from our course on how to be sustainable, how to reuse plastic. Then they found that in their homes, they had 3-4 jerry cans that they no longer use for storing water. They took that, they put a little hole, and then they put some speakers, and then a Bluetooth device, and it's playing music, and that was amazing. So I think here we have to give children a room for them to tell us what they want to learn, and why do they want to learn that, and probably also in which way children want to learn. And what I've learned is that children learn better, not necessarily in having a chalk and writing. Probably it's more of conversing with them, asking them questions, playing with them, and that way I think children learn much better. So it's about designing an approach that's beneficial to the audience and as well to the teacher.
Can I just add very quickly on that? That is really transformative education, and I hope that this will be carried on. I see how this got carried on from the courses that you guys took with us. And then you took those principles and you put them into how you organize the club and how you organize classes, how you conduct your pedagogy. And I hope those kids will do that in the future when they start to develop their own projects and teach other kids. It's so wonderful to see this as an educator. It's education in action.
All right. The next question is Dr. Lana.
Thank you,
And then-
Justin. Hi. This is just really such tremendous work, and I think there's so much to be learned from your leadership, all of you here. I would love, I'll also emphasize, the point that you made here about listening from the ideas of the community itself, but beyond listening, what kinds of infrastructure or supports are needed to help take those ideas into action? So thinking about microfinancing, skill development. So I'm thinking, I'm from MIT, like what can MIT help do to support to help these ideas go into fruition? And so I'd love just to learn how, for example, these projects were maybe financed or mentored or supported, and what we can do to better invest in communities like yours and leaders like you. Thank you.
Maybe to Mercy, you can, I think, because you really led on all of this, especially on seeking advice and financing and all of this. So I'd love if you could share your thoughts on this. I think people really, really benefit from that.
Yeah, so we can hear me? Yeah. If you know you have understood the question, so we can respond on it. We are having some challenges with the internet. Sometimes we're not getting well the question, unless if
Dieu merci. I'm sorry I don't hear. I think you were saying you're having an internet issue, so let me just answer that question.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
so so what I think the question was about how MIT may help and support for Vijana Twaweza to continue working and doing this. So I think we have our plans, and we think that these plans are going to help people in the community. And as time goes, definitely we may have to change a little bit some of these plans to solve problems which will be at that time, because these are plans based on the current problems we're having. And as we go, things may change a little bit, so we may have to change a little bit our plans. But what we want is that we want to see people having enough food. So we think we are open to discussion, we are open to learning, we are open to support, and anything that can definitely help people in the community. We won't draw a wall. So I think we are open to communication, to discussion, and seeing the way forward, and which ways we can support our children and our communities much better. So I've not heard as well the question very well, but I think that's the answer I can provide. So probably we'll share our contacts so that we continue the conversation.
If I speak, this is Marcela Gutierrez.
Hi, Marcela.
Hi, Paul. How are you guys? I wanted to comment on just that last question and their answer. I've been working with this group for a year, kind of helping them think about how they can talk and measure their impact and share what they're doing through these incredible stories that they're telling us, and then whatever data we can begin to collect. But I wanted to comment on this because one of the things that we all want to do as we come from outside is help. How can we help? And is it about what more can we give you? Money, resources, teaching. And what I've learned from them is that we need to be patient and let them tell us how they want us to help, what they need from us. They will let us know when they're ready. The timing is different. They are so attuned to what's happening in their community. They're so committed to making this a participatory project, involving everybody in the decision-making, not leaving anyone behind, that it is very important that we, again, as Paul said, we listen to them and let them tell us what they need from us when they're ready. I always mention that our relationship is a mentor-mentee relationship, because I feel, as Paul feels that we're learning from them, and we need them to give us the lead. I think they know what they need best and when they need us to come in, and that sometimes in the development framework, we hurt these projects by wanting to scale, too quickly. We just need to be patient and listen to them. I couldn't agree more with Paul.
Okay, we have the next question from Rezen. After the education program, is there any kind of job or care growth implemented? Because most of the time, as a refugee, we do learn, and after learning, we get certificates. But when it comes to job now, is there any way that you guys are trying to solve a problem after giving them those knowledge?
Thank you very much for that question. As I said at the beginning, our initial, our vision was not really to provide jobs. Our vision was to solve problems that people were facing. And as we do that, definitely we got people employed in Vijana Twaweza, not necessarily as other people would define employment, but for instance, for us to build the fish pond that we have currently, we had people to come in and support. We had someone who knows more about building, and this person was paid. We had people who worked to build the fish pond. We have people who come to work sometimes probably to sell the soap and all that. So definitely we end up, for us to continue working, we end up employing individuals, and that's people within and inside and outside the Vijana Twaweza group. And that works amazingly well. But I would say that the Vijana Twaweza initiative is not necessarily on providing employment, but it's more on solving problems that people are facing in the community. And by doing that, definitely there are people who get involved, and there are people who get remunerated for the services that they're offering to the community.
Yeah. And also I want just to comment a little bit on the question. The thing that was affecting when I was saying we are teaching children, we are just giving, this time we're teaching children and just give them some knowledge to assist them. So it's a bit challenging for them to get a job, but at least there is some good action that we are doing for the community ourselves. We have many friends who got scholarship. At the Up University. She's doing her studies. We have someone named Angela South Sudanese. She's going to Canada in August. We have also other three members who are going to Italy, others will go to Mozambique. So these at least, the group itself at least is assisting others youth to get some scholarship, which they can assist one day their family when they're back to Kakuma, because they're going to for learning. And we hope that as we are growing, we'll be able, as Marcella said, as we are growing, we'll be able even to involve others, people who are not even members of Vijana Twaweza, but they'll be employed. I think some of our members here, as we are growing, will be employed, because the activity that you are doing, for the moment you are doing this as a voluntary job, but with the time when we have the project go, we'll need to engage some people in the activity for that the activity to be sustainable. So I hope that time will create some opportunities. And for the moment, we are trying to just strengthen some partnerships. Right now, we are trying to create partnerships with the World Food Program. And they are asking us many questions. They are coming here. Last time in February this year, we have the ambassador from Denmark with all the delegation of the World Food Program. They were here. And they were also thinking to see how they can expand this idea. Now they want also to create some fish pond around Kakuma, and they will need teachers. They need some people to go there. So with the time off, we even teach some trainers here.
Wow, it seems like it has frozen. And now, from Gloria, you are still on the call. Now, can you comment a little bit about the participation of girls in this project? Because we are on your side, there is someone, and also where GMX is, there is also girls. So can you comment a bit their participation in this project?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very good question. And we have girls in the group. We were 40 members. Currently, people in the camp are not always constant. Some go out, some remain for sometimes longer. So currently we are about 27 members, and among the 27 members, almost half of them are girls. So here I'm with Nyancho, who's a South Sudanese. So say hi. Who was as well a member of Vijana Twaweza Club. Lundo was with Seraphine and a few other members. So Nyancho, you may say hi.
Hi everyone, my name is Nyancho. I'm Vijana Twaweza.
So Nyancho joined us recently. She's very new. Seraphine and Jolie on the other side with Lundo, they are a little bit old in the group. They've been here for so long now. And yeah, we have a good number of girls participating in the camp. And that's not easy, by the way, because, the culture here, the norms, the social norms, the reality on the ground makes it very, very tough for girls to actually continue in groups like this, because their families, their fathers, their grandfathers, their people are not always supportive of girls being involved in development projects. And we are really trying that very hard, given that we are Congolese, they are South Sudanese, they are Burundians and all that. There is a lot of differences in culture, a lot of differences in how we understand things. So it's not always easy, but we are trying to change the culture, because we started Vijana Twaweza in 2018. Nyasande, for instance, Paul knows Nyasande very well, has been there since 2018 up to now. She has been very instrumental, and their family now is very open for her to be there. She even brought her cousin, Nyangwenu, as well. Paul joined us, probably will get a chance to talk to very soon. And you see, so things are changing a little bit, but it's not that easy. It's not very easy, actually.
And just to put it in context, I remember in the courses we used to have in the camp, you would maybe have 10% female participation if you were lucky. So to have close to 50% is amazing in a place like Kakuma. So really well done to you guys for really being leaders on that. And I've seen you in action, bringing people into the program and really treating people of every gender and every background, just treating people with the respect that everyone deserves. And it's just wonderful to see. You're real leaders. You're amazing.
I was going to also ask you, Paul, if you could copy the resources that you shared on the slides on the chat, or also just like send those to me, but later, but so that we can also share and check those out later. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, can I do it now? Sorry, there's quite a few of them. I think I put up not just my work, but work from my colleague Jamila Karan as well, who worked with me in Kakuma and did a lot of work on human rights, both in French and English. So there's some really interesting articles there. Mercy and I have written together. Glory, I know you're writing something at the moment as well. And there's a lot of interesting academic output from refugees as well that is often ignored, I think. So we've been really trying to push that forward. So if anybody's interested, just contact me. I'd be really happy to share my resources and point you in the direction of friends' resources as well. Or just, reach out to us anytime. We have that kind of short little film we made on YouTube where we discuss as well, like the importance of education and how to connect education to real life development. And I hope that's illuminating for people in academia as well, to see that it's kind of like, it's real education in action. I mean, a lot of the times we're stuck in libraries and offices like myself now, and it's hard to see the real life implications of what you teach. But a project like this, really, it just lays it out there. It's so wonderful. It's so rewarding for me to have been involved in this, and I just can't thank the guys enough for bringing me into it. It's really an honor. So yes, please get in touch with me. I'm afraid I have to run right now because I'm teaching a class of agricultural students all about this project, and I'm going to tell them all about the wonderful developments in Kakuma. And thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today on Migration Summit. It's almost 4 p.m. my time, which is the end of our session. It has been inspiring. Gloire, Dieu merci. I don't know what to say. For me, you just need to come to Malawi and assist people also in Malawi, because we are facing a lot of challenges here in Malawi. Thank you so much for everyone for being together with us. There's another session that's already started. Thank you so much, and God bless everyone. Thank you.